Hey, what's party? Welcome back to News Dose. And, just yesterday I said that given the circumstances, it might be the darkest day in PlayStation history. And I truly feel that way. I'm absolutely furious about the direction that PlayStation has gone in for this generation. But now here we are just 24 hours later. And honestly, you could maybe say a very similar thing about Xbox depending on how you view this entire situation. Now, some people might view it a little bit different, but if anything else, with today's news, there's a lot of uncertainty that follows this announcement because Xbox legitimately just changed forever. So stick around, and we're going to get into all of that. First, though, thank you to all of my supporters on Patreon and on YouTube memberships. You all truly don't understand how much I appreciate you all, but just thank you so much for what you do, and you will receive this video, the early access. Let's just go and get right into it, though, and once again, today will not be the typical format because I have a lot to say about this. And I don't want this video to be overly long. I try to make these videos as concise as possible. I try to respect your all's time. So let's just go and jump right into what's happening. And there is a lot to this story. There's a lot of layers to peel back. And let me just go and read it off to you. This comes from an exclusive IGN story in which the title reads, Phil Spencer retiring, Sarah Bond out, Matt Booty promoted as Microsoft AI exec, Asha Sharma named new Xbox boss. So like I said, this is a lot of information to take in. This is a massive shakeup for Xbox, and this absolutely will change Xbox forever. Now, obviously, the big talking point right now is the fact that Phil Spencer is retiring. But honestly, the other layers to this story are just as interesting. Interesting is kind of a weird word to use here, though. Again, kind of depends on how you look at this. Now, I'll circle back to that here in just a moment, but let's first start off with Phil Spencer. You can see his official tweet here, which reads, It's rare in life to know when a chapter is closing, but after 38 years at Microsoft, that moment has arrived for me. I've made the decision to retire and begin the next chapter of my life. It's a milestone that's given me a chance to reflect on the incredible journey I've been fortunate enough to share with so many of you. And, first off, I just want to go ahead and, give a big shout out to Phil Spencer. He is such an icon, and I truly do respect him. And, that's the thing for me. He's been the X-Boss now since the early Xbox One days, and he's always had a tough mission, in my opinion. He took over a damaged brand, and personally, I think he did a great job at recouping some goodwill over the years, especially given the circumstances, which we're definitely going to talk about more here in just a moment. But yeah, he galvanized the Xbox community. He took part in a lot of interviews. He's always been very interactive with fans, and he also found a way to rejuvenate their first-party lineup after the dark Kinect days. He went out and acquired a lot of studios throughout the 2010s, and he was also passionate about the idea of backwards compatibility. And that's the thing that stands out most to me about Phil Spencer. When I think about Phil Spencer, I think of somebody that is a gamer. And I think a lot of the stuff that he did was in the mindset of how it can actually benefit gamers. I can't really say that about a lot of other figureheads within the game industry, but I feel like I can say that about Phil Spencer. Now, I know not everything that he did necessarily worked out, but I think he's been one of the most positive icons for the game industry, and especially for Xbox, since he first took over as the X-Boss back in the early Xbox One days. For me, I'm in the mindset that a lot of people truly did not realize and did not appreciate what he's been able to do under Xbox's circumstances. And that is something that we're going to talk a lot about in today's video, because I think that it has become clear as day that Microsoft has really fully taken over Xbox post Activision Blizzard. If there was any mistake that Phil Spencer made as the X-Boss, it was that acquisition. Little did he know that Microsoft was going to take over after that because they want a return on investment. And today, I think that has become even more clear. Again, just bear with me for a moment, but I do want to give Phil Spencer a big shout out. I truly believe that he did the best that he could for Xbox. I think he did a great job, and especially throughout the Xbox One era, when there were a lot of questions and a lot of concerns about the future of the Xbox brand. I think that he has been able to keep the spirit of Xbox alive longer than what it would have been if it was not for him. That is a central point to our conversation today, though, because Xbox has always been in a tough position. It's been well documented that Microsoft as a company has never fully embraced Xbox. And I think that's a crying shame because with their full support, Xbox truly could have been a competitive force for the game industry, which not only would have made Xbox better, but it would have also made other console makers better as well through competition. Instead, Xbox has always had to scratch and claw its way through the industry, and when it finally felt like Microsoft was going to give them their full support, they instead took over the division after the Activision Blizzard buyout. And we have heard inside rumblings from that situation. There are rumors out there about how the Xbox team has been disgruntled because they don't necessarily agree with the direction that Microsoft are taking them in. And I fully believe that rumor because there was even a leak at one time from an alleged employee that proved to be true with a treasure trove of information. Regardless, though, the story that's not being talked about near as much today, which I think is actually very important, is that Sarah Bond resigned from Xbox. And if you look into it, this situation is nothing short of bizarre. I mean, Phil Spencer gave a statement about his retirement, but for whatever reason, there is absolutely nothing from Sarah Bond, or at least as of this recording, which most people believed that she was going to be the new Xbox CEO after Phil Spencer retired. They've been grooming her for years and years, and they've been throwing her into the fire after all of their controversial multi-platform decisions. Yet on the day of her resignation and on the day of Phil Spencer's retirement, there's absolutely nothing to be heard from her. So you have to wonder if she resigned because she doesn't like the direction that Xbox is going in, so she just kind of left. Again, we have heard rumblings about how the Xbox team is not happy post Activision Blizzard. Now, I truly believe that people like Phil and Sarah were stripped of their power when it comes to decision making. Because, again, Microsoft wanted a return on investment, so they took over the Xbox division. And today, I think, adds to that suspicion because instead of Sarah Bond, Microsoft promoted Asha Sharma. Now, this could have also been why Sarah Bond left. Maybe she didn't exactly like being passed over for somebody like Asha Sharma, which, if you haven't heard of her before, that's probably for a good reason. Not only does she have no experience with Xbox, but she has no experience in gaming, period. In fact, she was previously the president of Microsoft Core AI. So yeah, I think as a gamer, it's not exactly the resume that you would want to hear. And that doesn't mean that she won't do a good job, but it's definitely not something that I think pops off paper and, instills a lot of confidence in gamers. And I'll just kind of leave it at that. But you do have to kind of wonder if this move is just more proof that Microsoft Gaming is taking over and they want her to lead because she's going to do what Satya Nadella wants her to do. Now, however, in her statement, I will say that she is saying a lot of the right things. She said that she has 3 different commitments. One is to deliver great games, and in order to do this, she's going to lean on Matt Booty for his expertise. I mean, at bare minimum, that's at least good to hear that somebody within Xbox, Team Xbox will have some say going forward. But regardless, her second commitment is to recommit to their core Xbox fans, which starts with their consoles. So, that's good to hear as well. It sounds like they are going to move forward with their console business. And then lastly, the future of play. She promises to not take advantage of their IP by milking them and monetizing them. And also, in her words, they're not going to flood their ecosystem with quote-unquote AI slop. And that's quite the statement from somebody who has a background working with AI. Now, whether gamers actually buy into her statement, though, we'll see, because actions speak louder than words. And so far, I feel like Microsoft Gaming hasn't exactly instilled a lot of confidence in gamers to the point that they have earned that trust. Now, maybe they can earn that trust back here in the next couple years, depending on how they position themselves. But with everything that's happening right now, I think there's no doubt about it that Xbox has changed forever. This is an end of an era. And regardless of how it plays out, I think that there is absolutely a lot of uncertainty that comes with this. We are going from a CEO that is an actual gamer to a new CEO that has no experience in gaming at all. How will that play out? Can Matt Booty steer the ship, if you will? And then why did Sarah Bond resign without much explanation at all? I do think that's one of the most important questions right now. But I'll tell you what I would love to hear. I would love for Phil Spencer to one day give an interview and truly tell gamers what happened these past few years. Are the rumors true that Microsoft took control from Team Xbox? And how did the team feel about that? Are those disgruntled rumblings actually true? Now, I don't think that we'll get that interview anytime soon, really, if ever, but I would love to know the real story rather than just hearsay. Going forward, though, this new direction is either going to reignite the Xbox brand with a newfound commitment, as their new CEO claims, or it'll be the start of a corporate version of Xbox. So I want to hear from you all. Are you optimistic about the changes announced today, or do you think that this is a catastrophe in the waiting? Now, I don't think that there's really any wrong opinions. Only time will tell, but I'll say this much. What a way to celebrate Xbox's 25th anniversary. This is supposed to be an exciting year for Xbox fans. Yet here we are, and I think some fans are wondering if Xbox will ever be the same again, or if it'll just be all in on Microsoft gaming by this point. Again, let me hear your thoughts about all of this in the comments below. And let me just say, I'm not trying to be doom and gloom or anything. The optimistic part of me hopes that the new CEO can actually deliver on what she claims, because at bare minimum, she is saying the right things, but that's also how PR works. So that's something to keep in mind. But let me know what you all think about this news, and how do you feel about the Xbox division post Phil Spencer and apparently post Sarah Bond as well. Anyways, though, that's going to be it for this episode. But until next time, make sure to subscribe, ring that bell, and peace out.